What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the Wallet Monkey channel, where we give you all the credit intel you need to establish relationships with the banks and build your credit profile. So today, I want to share with you a lot of insights and things that I've learned along my journey, because I've had 2 or 3 interesting places that not only I've been with myself, businesses, or close clientele in the recent year to 2 years. Through that, I've been able to kind of shape up and farm up what I consider the 4 levels of credit. I think there's more to this as well. We could probably refine this a little bit better also. So this is a work in progress. Just bear with me. I think you're going to learn a lot from this, and so yeah, let's dive right in. We're going to start with essentially where I was when I started. Don't know if I've shared this on the channel yet, but I started with a 479 credit score. I had 2011 bankruptcy. I think it was 2011, maybe it was 2009. I don't know. I was young and stupid, and it was a bad idea in hindsight. I would have never done that. I would have done something different now. But anyways, I had bankruptcies, lates, account closures, repossessions. Oh my God, my life like fell apart. That's what I consider level 1 dirty record. This is where you've got lates. You've got lates with a high amount of inquiries, with a high amount of derogatories in some sort of way. You got closed accounts. You got negative comments and remarks. That is a rough place to be. I've been there, right? It sucks, because the only thing you're thinking about is like, there's 2 things. One, you need credit now just to go rent an apartment in America. So it's like, shit, you got to have it a little bit together, because otherwise you're going to get like a really crappy rate, or you're going to get denied for an apartment, which is just weird. And I think that's only going to get worse, by the way, because there's huge amounts of hedge funds and management firms that are buying up blocks and blocks and cities worth of real estate. This is what they want. They want to, run and cater to the middle class people. You better bet that you will need to do a credit check on that, and it'll probably be more stringent than it is now. So the dirty record, we really need to move away from. It's kind of funny, like when you're in this place, you also coincidentally hate credit, cash is king, forget all that, I don't want to borrow money from anybody kind of thing. Well, it's because you're butt sore, you're hurting, and I get it. And so at that point, we really don't want to hear about this, and that's why it's so important to talk about these things, because it's like just a big pain point. And so the faster we get through this and clear this out, the faster we can get moving and actually start to rebuild our credit, so it's there if we need it. You might want to still live by cash is king, etc., but the hand of Big Brother, whatever you want to call it, is always there, and you need credit for stuff. And so why not have this sitting there? So the dirty record, the mentality and everything, like I just covered, it just kind of sucks there. But here's what we want to focus on there, and this is where I made a lot of mistakes. I got so wrapped up in like trying to clean my credit that I was just bouncing around, and it took like a couple years of me kind of sort of caring before I actually did care. And in the kind of sort of caring phase, I was spending $700 here for a credit repair company who did nothing. Then I spent $1,000 because I thought, oh, maybe the $700 guys weren't good enough. I need to get over $1,000. Take into consideration, like, this took time back then, right? I didn't have a lot of money to be saving up and spending on this, and that $1,000 and that money would have been better spent somewhere else, especially now, which we're going to talk about some fun stuff with all this fintech stuff. You've got a lot better solutions now. But I was so concerned about trying to clean up my credit profile, which, first off, all that amount of energy, money that I was trying to save up to get this money, and so all that energy I was using to work and save up that money, I should just learn how to submit letters and do disputes myself. It would have been better time spent, okay, honestly, because it took so much time to make the money, to then pay, to then lose. It just sucked. I would have changed that. Definitely would have changed that. And what I would have focused on is, and so we're kind of like blending of what I consider level 1 and what I'd be doing at that level, and how I'd be thinking is, I'd be thinking on, okay, what are the 2 to 3 banks that I want to build relationships with? If I can't build a relationship with them, can I become an authorized user later? And once I've cleaned up all the derogatories, or they just fall off my record, okay? So yeah, I'd be thinking of like, what are like the 5 total banks I want to be working with? Like for me, American Express was a no-brainer. Navy Fed was also a no-brainer. I wanted to be in with both of them, and I am today. And so those are like the 2 most important places to me. Maybe for you it's Goldman. Maybe for you it's Amazon, right? You buy a ton of stuff on Amazon. Maybe for you it's Chase. I don't know. You can get in on Amazon Chase or American Express Amazon, so you can get both of best worlds in some of these cases. Or an American Express Navy Fed, right? I would focus on, and I didn't do this at all, I would focus on, because back then there wasn't a lot of these fintechs. In fact, there was none of them. And instead there was like My Jeweler Club and New Coast Direct, and there was like stuff like that. So it was just kind of coming out of the scammy phase into what it is now, which I think is getting more and more legit now. I would focus on just getting a few secured credit cards and make sure they graduate. The whole concept of like the Open Sky credit card, for example, like why bother? It's a crappy card that you have to pay a 24 to 29% interest rate on, and it never graduates. Why would I get it? Oh, because there's no hard pull. Well, there's a ton of fintech stuff that's now no hard pull. All it would require is direct deposit. I already have no bank account, so why wouldn't I just go do that? Or, I'm willing to switch my bank account to that, so why wouldn't I just do that? Like, things like the Open Sky credit card are just completely worthless to me. Go with the Discover IT secured, if you can get it. And it's going to be a tougher one to get when you're down in the dirty record, as I call it. There might be a different one that you want to get down there, okay? And that's subject for another video. But anyways, just get a few secured cards that aren't total trash and you know that they graduate, okay? And then, like I said, focus on 2 to 3 banks that you want to build relationships with. And here's where I want to take a minute. Is, for example, most people, they don't know this, but for starters, American Express offers savings accounts. So like that $1,000 that I went and tried to get credit repair with that just ended up getting scammed, I could have just gone and put in an American Express savings account. Now I'm in their ecosystem. I'm building a relationship with them. And in 3 to 6 months, who knows what they might start offering me. I think that's just money better well spent. Just leave the record alone. Let's come back to that. And then let's start to go and try and build out new pieces. And these pieces will take time, 3, 6, 12 months. Well, guess what? Some of this stuff, if you're not going to spend money for credit repair and you've got DROGs and things like that, it's going to take time for these new secured cards to start reporting, for your score to kind of start turning around, for banks to start taking you serious. And so that's all going to take time anyways. You could focus on getting into like American Express ecosystem. You could get into Navy Fed's ecosystem with a secured card. If you don't qualify for that, there's other credit unions. We're going to be covering that in an upcoming video. Huge data drop of credit unions that are like more open now than they've ever been. And I think credit unions is going to be the place to go for the immediate future, for the next 2 to 5 years. I don't think the play is big banks for building credit and getting really sweet deals. I think it's going to be credit unions because they really seem to be opening up and they're really filling the gap that banks no longer want to touch. Banks, especially like a Chase Bank, they've really got their foot in their niche figured out. Their niche is a 750 to 800 credit score. That is not me. That is not a lot of people. And until I get to that point, they don't really want to deal with me. Yeah, let's just go somewhere else where I'm going to be treated better. So, okay, here you could also get into trade lines. You could get into like your Self Inc., which reports as an installment loan and no credit check. You could get that because, again, especially if you're struggling with the secured credit cards, that would just be another thing to get positively reporting on your record. So that might be a good thing here. It just depends. Every profile is different. So I'm just giving generic guidelines and kind of talking you through this. Just keep in mind that like there's so much crap out there now. It seems like this whole market of trade lines, like online accounts where there's no hard check, there's no credit pull. It seems like this whole niche has gotten worse. And the fintech stuff is completely taking it over. So with just, I could go and get an online checking account. They're going to give me a free credit report on top of that, a FICO or Vantage. And then on top of that, if I do direct deposits or I do 2 direct deposits in a row, maybe I get a sign up bonus, 150, 100 bucks, 75 bucks. And then on top of that, they use that to then qualify me for a credit card. So it's like I've completely sidestepped all my lates, all my derogatories, my whole crappy record. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make here is like, even in this bottom level, there used to be like no wiggle room. When I was going through this, there was like 2 options, or just wait. Now I feel like you could literally, have a bankruptcy a year ago, you got lates, you got stuff happened 6 months ago, and you could walk into one of these fintechs and get a really sweet deal and get into a credit card that is reporting as a credit card. You could start getting things positively reporting. That mixed with maybe a Self Inc. installment, mixed with a secured card. And in 6 to 12 months, we are in great shape. We've now got 2 to 3 relationships with banks. We got a brand new online checking account that's also got that credit card that's been reporting for a year. I mean, our profile is starting to look pretty good. Level 2. This is what I call clean and low score. Now, understand at this level, you could be clean but have a high score too, and a low amount of total debt or total credit taken out. Like there's a guy I've worked with that he had like 710 to 720-ish credit score. I think he had like $2,000, $5,000 of total accounts. He was an authorized user on a couple accounts, so he was in great shape. And I think we went and got him like $20,000 in a day, which he was stoked about. And so that's how that can happen if you're sitting in those low 7s and you got nothing on your file. Your main reason you're going to get rejected is a thin file. Again, makes sense to start to build those relationships then, as well as you want to strategically try and figure out who you want to go with, right? Like I think we went with a Discover. Discover's a pretty good bet there. We got an everyday blue American Express, and we got some BB&T stuff. That's a good spot to be in. But yeah, you could be at a 700, so good score, but low amount of accounts and debt. So anyways, level 2, let's call it, is clean but low score. And I know this one really well too because I've gone through this. So this is not a lot of accounts, 20K or less in total accounts, but your score is clean and you're like somewhere in a 680 to 720 range. Okay, what do we do? Understand that you're gonna probably have to show proof of income for any sort of credit union stuff where you don't have a relationship. At this point, okay, hopefully some of those accounts have seasoned. Maybe the secured cards have gone unsecured because it's gonna take a while between level 1 and level 2, 6 to 12 months. We're now getting into a couple unsecured cards so we can start to get into a regular CLI schedule, which is great. And we're in the ecosystem now. We've got an unsecured credit card. It's all good, right? We're moving forward. Okay, so we've got the accounts, we've got the secured cards have upgraded. Okay, so here we could look at doing Credit Strong, Self Inc again if you didn't already, or other credit builders. You could look at doing that. And here we want to look at getting added as authorized users. So for 2 reasons. One, we want to keep our utilization low because you've got a low amount of cards and you've got a low amount of like, 5 or 10K out total. So it's like any sort of usage on those cards over $100, $200, we're already out of the sweet spot of utilization. So we want to thin out that record a little bit. And we can do that in a few different ways. We can do that with your Credit Strongs, your Self Incs, etc. But while getting some diversification, and you could look at the fintech stuff too. You want to get authorized users added. Now get authorized users for accounts that you want. If you didn't get the American Express savings account and you got no relationship with them and you got no card with them, but you want to get in their ecosystem for whatever reason you didn't listen and you want to get in their ecosystem, get an authorized user for an American Express card. Make sure that the authorized user, however you go about getting that it's like, 3% or less of utilization. I would even say 1% is like really where you want to be. So that'll also help you thin out your utilization for starters, and then also too, it'll make you look really, really good. So then when we gear up and we've got our record clean and we make sure our inquiries are low and blah, 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 we come up with our game day strategy, bang, American Express is one we're gonna hit. And you'll probably be able to get in the door with a blue card every day at $1,000 to $3,000. Okay, I would focus on that. So it's like if you look at now level 1, level 2, what we're really talking about is collectively, like I said, about 5 accounts, 5 banks that we really want to work with long term, that we're slowly establishing relationships through 2 fronts, either getting into their ecosystem or making it look like we're already in the ecosystem by becoming an authorized user. Both ways work. Becoming an authorized user, if it's not like a family member or something, it's pretty expensive. It can be like thousands of dollars. Again, level 3 is good credit. I like this credit area where you're like 700s, maybe you got a decent amount of inquiries. You probably should clean up the inquiries before you do the game day. We didn't on this one, which is kind of a shame because we could have gotten more. I got 100,000 at this level. So there's like maybe 20,000 in cards and then a house. And we went and got another 100K in cards on the personal. So again, I'm kind of talking through like what I've personally experienced and what I've done from that derived like this little game plan. And this is how I would do it moving forward, especially if I was brand new into this, is at this level, I think you should be thinking about only higher level accounts and sign up bonuses because you can actually get them here. You can get the lowest APRs, and this is what you need to be thinking about. You need to be thinking about getting the lowest APRs. Are we going to be moving over or changing products so that we can get ourselves into better position, calling up and getting better interest rates, doing balance transfers, things like that to get out of bad cards into just the cream of the crop. And then what you want to eventually do here is, I think it makes sense for an individual to be somewhere in the $50,000 to $100,000 of personal credit cards in his name outside of mortgage, car, right? I think that's a pretty good place to be. And then you want to go and be at like 500 to $1 million on your businesses to start as a startup, or as quick as possible in that first 2 years. Hopefully revenue will allow you to take that to much more, because if you can prove revenue nowadays with a lot of the fintechs on the business side, you can get, it's almost like name your price. As long as you're showing consistent revenue, then you can keep going back to the drawing board. Beautiful thing is once we get into, let's say, the American Express business side, especially if I get the American Express Gold card, then I get to jump in line. I don't have to wait 6 months to get into their 2 funding, and it's like a loan and a startup funding program. And one requires you to have a credit card for 6 months and one 12 months. You skip that line entirely, both of those, if you have a gold business account. Now I don't have to wait all that time. If my business is brand new and making profits and I can prove it, then I'm in line now to get another sweet product and an upgrade on the American Express side. And that's what I mean. Like you have to start looking at this more in terms of ecosystems. And I keep saying that, but because there's so many product offerings now on each of these companies, we're only going to see more consolidation of products, or what I call features, in their offer stack. So American Express is going to be making a big move for something crypto related. Why wouldn't they? We already see Cash App and Square are making huge moves to stack features, right? With the Bill Me Later Afterpay that they just acquired for $30 billion, Square did. Well, their stock went up 25% just on the news. So they just got a $30 billion company for for free. So those are the moves that are happening right now. So we need to be forward thinking in terms of like, okay, these people are literally going to be offering stacks of feature driven benefits. And so they want you to just go with them. That's what it's going to turn into. The war is to keep you with them. There'll still probably be a ton of banks and credit unions, etc., but it'll really be consolidated. And you're going to keep seeing consolidation happening over the next 2 to 5 years, I think, as now we merge into this digital currency space, right? So this is important to like understand these things to a degree and see where things are kind of going. Yeah, at this level, I would be only really trying to use myself as a PG on business accounts if it's really, really worth it. Like, you wave an American Express gold card in front of me, I'll be a PG for that. That's about it though. I mean, really high level cards. And we'd be thinking about like, okay, now let's pivot into getting business cards. And now let's start to go from there. The last level, I don't have a lot of experience here. I'm not here. So this is kind of like, I'm just kind of extrapolating in terms of thinking I don't have a lot here, but I'm just kind of like thinking forward like, okay, where would I want to be? Yeah, I even kind of mispriced that 250K plus. Okay, yeah. At this point, again, I think me personally, I'm good with like 100, 125 personal credit, just as like a emergency. And that also allows you to then, you know, what's your 1% usage on that? 10 grand, something like that, if my math is correct. And so, yeah, you can get away with using a decent amount, floating, you know, that across your cards, across your network of cards, still qualifying for bonuses, still being able to use those things. We got a ton of breathing room personally, and then we're mostly focused on business. And I think right here, you know, you're at 800 plus, you're really just focusing on refinement. I know some people in the 800s, 20 plus cards, average billionaire's got how many streams of revenue? You know, 40 plus, I believe. Average millionaire has about 7 to 10 streams of revenue. And this is like older data, so it's probably more than that by now. So if we think of like, okay, that's their streams of revenue, well, then we could assume that, you know, average 800, and I know a few, is, you know, they're 20 plus cards. Personally, I think that's, I don't know, maybe pushing it. Again, I would rather just have a ton of funding on LLCs, on businesses where there's no personal guarantee, etc. It's on the merit of the business. And again, I'm basing it on the fact that those businesses are legit businesses making money, okay? Not just like built up to run credit through, which I guess you could do as well. That's beyond the scope of this video and this channel. Those are the 4 levels. I hope this was valuable. It's really just me rambling about my experiences now going through the phases all the way up to 750s is what I've personally experienced now. 800 is next. I'm excited to get there. I'm sure this will change a little bit. We'll do an update on this video, on this channel when I get there, and I'll probably have a bunch of new insight and intel to give you. That's kind of where we're at right now. So if you like this sort of thing, then stick around, subscribe, hit the bell notification. If you want to help us with the algorithm dance, hit the like button, comment below if you got something to say. See you very soon in another video.